Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Before we start with our practice questions, we have two announcements. One is in reference to a free workshop which will be conducted by Byju's Exam Prep IAS with respect to civil services examination, common myths and mistakes, which will be conducted by Mukesh Jasa. How do you register? Follow the link given in our description box, give the necessary information, and you would be able to attend this free workshop which will explain you some of the myths and mistakes with respect to the civil services examination. And the second announcement is in reference to the explain session which will be conducted tomorrow at 8 p.m. The topic for discussion would be Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act of 2013. Please do tune in at 8 p.m. tomorrow and listen to this wonderful lecture delivered by Harshpreet sir. Now let's look into the first practice question. Lapsus recently seen in news is a or an virtual personal assistant, decentralized cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence tool that mimics the workings of a human brain, data extortion hacking group. The answer to this is D, which happens to be data extortion hacking group. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to Lapsus. What is this Lapsus? Basically, as the very article denotes, it is a hacker group. What has it done? It has targeted number of companies like Microsoft, Samsung, Okta and Nvidia. What does it do? Lapsus happens to be a data extortion hacking group. It compromises the corporate systems, steals the information from their code, customer list, database and other valuable data, and only if the amount is paid, that is a ransom is paid, it will be restored or such information will be put out in the public forum. So what do? They give a threat that we will block the data, take this information collected, put it out in the public forum in case you don't pay the money. So this happens to be a hacking group. Now the question is, we all know for the fact that Microsoft is one of the giant companies. It also has its own databases, network security, so on and so forth. But how are these people able to breach the data, take the data? That might also be because that some people say they are paying corporate insiders for the access. So people within Microsoft may be paid to get some information, and as a result some of the information is stolen and then they put out a threat for putting out in the public forum. So basically the Lapsus hacking group claims to have leaked the source code for the Bing, Cortana and other projects stolen from Microsoft internal Azure DevOps server. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements. Municipal corporations are established in the states by the acts of state legislatures concerned and in the union territories by the president. The notified area committee may be wholly elected or wholly nominated by the state government. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer to this is none. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the municipal corporations. What are these municipal corporations? Let's take the example of Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai. These are the huge cities. These huge cities have what is called as the municipal corporations, which is required for the administration of big cities. So when they are established by the acts of the state government of the state legislature concerned. Yes, this part of the statement is right, but the second part is wrong. Why? Because when it comes to the union territories, it is passed by the acts of the Parliament of India and not by the president. So the second part of the statement is wrong. So the first option is ruled out. When we look into the second part, the notified area committee may be wholly elected or wholly nominated by the state governments. This once again is a wrong statement. Why? That is because when we speak about the notified area committee, what is this notified area committee? Let's say for example there is a city. This particular city is in a transition zone. Let's say we have the municipality on one side and this particular city happens to be a developing city because of large number of industries that are present in that particular area. The government has given industries number of opportunities as well. So in those areas where we have a large scale industrialization and there is also a town which may not fulfill all those criteria which is given to a municipality, but the state government considers that this particular region is very important for the growth of industrial bodies. So as a result, what will the state governments do? The state governments will immediately release a notification. Such a notification issued by the government is what is called as notified area committee. So basically it will function within the boundaries of the State Municipal Act, and when it comes to the functioning, they are entirely nominated. All the members of the notified area committee, including the chairman, are nominated by the state government. Since they are nominated by the state government, they are not elected, the second option also goes wrong, which is why the answer to this would be none. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following are the consequences of president's rule? The president can declare that the powers of the state legislature are to be exercised by the union cabinet. A law made by the parliament or president or any other specified authority continues to be operative even after the president's rule. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to Article 355. What is it about Article 355? It is the duty of the Union to protect states against external aggression and internal disturbance. So if the state government is not working within the provisions of this constitution, that is the Indian Constitution, the central government may impose the president's rule. When we look into the practice question options, the first option says the president can declare that the powers of the state legislature are to be exercised by the union cabinet. This is a wrong statement. Why? Because such a power is given to the parliament and not to the union cabinet. So if we speak about the powers, all the functions of the state government, the powers that are vested in the governor, which are the executive role, is given to the president. So all the executive roles which are given to the governor will be ultimately taken up by the president, but when it comes to the legislative role, that will be taken by the parliament. When you look into the second statement, a law made by the parliament or president or any other specified authority continues to be operative even after the president's rule. This statement is right. What do we mean by it? Let's say, for example, with respect to a particular state, the parliament passes a law. This law will continue to be operative, which will be implemented even after the president's rule is lifted, which means that if a new state government is formed, they can continue with the same law, or they can amend it, or in fact repeal it as well. So even after the president's rule is done, a same act enacted by the parliament will continue to be operative until the state legislature amends it, or in fact brings up a new law in place of this law. So the second statement is right. So the answer to this would be 2 only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements with respect to Abel Prize are correct? It is awarded to mathematicians not over 40 years of age at each International Congress of the International Mathematical Union. It is awarded every 4 years. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is none. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to the Abel Prize. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first and the second option, it is not speaking about Abel Prize, but instead it is speaking about another prize called as the Fields Medal. So Fields Medal is also given to mathematicians. It is awarded to those mathematicians who are less than 40 years of age, and such meeting and medal will be usually given every 4 years. So what are we speaking about? We are speaking about the Field Medal. And when it comes to the Abel Prize, this was established by the Norwegian Parliament in the year 2002 in the memory of Norwegian mathematician Niels Henrik Abel. So this is given by the Norwegian government. So in the present situation, the Norwegian Academy of Science and Letters has awarded the Abel Prize for the year 2022 to American mathematician Dennis Parnell Sullivan. So he had proposed one of the topics in reference to the topology. And what is topology? It is the field of mathematics which was born in 19th century, had to do with properties of surfaces that do not change when they are deformed. So remember, Abel Prize is also given to mathematics. It is given by Norway, and this was established in 2002 on the occasion of 200th anniversary of Niels Henrik Abel. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to India, consider the following statements. When a prisoner makes out a sufficient case, parole cannot be denied to such prisoner because it becomes a matter of his or her right. State governments have their own prisoners released on parole rules. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer to this is 2 only. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2021. When you look into the second statement, it says state governments have their own prisoners released on parole rules. Basically, when we speak about prisons, where are they found? They are found in the 7th schedule in the state subject, which means it is the state which should be able to make the rules and regulations, and each state can pass their own prisons act as well. So the second statement is right. And when you look into the first statement, when a prisoner makes out a significant case, parole cannot be denied to such prisoner because it becomes a matter of his or her right. This is a wrong statement. Why? Because when it comes to parole, it is not seen as a matter of right, and even if they have a sufficient case, it can be declined by the state executive. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion happens to be Artemis program. What is this program? This is a program initiated by United States of America's NASA. So its primary goal is to return humans to the moon, especially to the lunar south pole by the year 2025. This particular program can be divided into 3 missions. One, what we have is Artemis 1, then what we have is Artemis 2, and finally Artemis 3. What is it about Artemis 1? This happens to be an uncrewed test flight of the Orion spacecraft set to launch on the Space Launch System rocket in the year 2022. So basically, during this particular flight, the Orion spacecraft will be launched from Florida on the Space Launch rocket, and ultimately it will venture thousands of kilometers beyond the moon during an approximate 3-week mission, and the Orion system will then be monitored to ensure a safe crew module re-entry upon the splashdown and the recovery, and the Orion will stay in space longer than any other spacecraft built for the astronauts ever without docking in the space station. So remember, this will be a 3 mission program. First will be called as Artemis 1, then what we will have is Artemis 2, which will be the first ever crewed test flight of the Orion spacecraft, targeted to launch on the SLS rocket no later than May 2024. Then we will have Artemis 3, which is currently being targeted for no earlier than 2025. We will fly astronauts to the moon, and the mission may land humans on the lunar surface. So will this mission also have other countries, contributions from other countries? Yes. We will have the Canadian Space Agency, which is committed to providing advanced robotics for the Gateway, European Space Agency, which will provide the International Habitat and Spirit module, which will deliver additional communication capabilities, and finally we will have the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, which plans to contribute habitation components and logistics resupply. So what is the significance of this particular program? With this particular program, NASA aims to contribute to the scientific discovery, economic benefits, and inspire new generation of explorers with respect to moon and to the space missions. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.